Welcome to the Tea Huddle with Marisa and Kelly.
Your only source for gridiron gossip.
So if you like the NFL draft,
And if you like drama, then you're in the right place.
so we've seen the NFL draft. It was my first draft I've ever experienced. I'm going to be honest right up front. I thought it would be a little more exciting than it was. It was a little snoozy, but there were highlights. Before we get into the drama, the girlfriends, the beefs, Kelly, can you give us a rundown of the headlines?
I would love to.
Of the draft?
So as expected, Caleb Williams goes to Chicago in the first pick. We talked about that last week.
Yes.
So no one was surprised there. It was a very heavy quarterback draft with the next two picks also being quarterbacks that we had discussed last week. One of them coming to my Patriots, but
Yes.
Drake May. But
you got multiple quarterbacks.
we did, yeah. We got a lot of players. So,
Yeah.
but there weren't too many surprises. I feel like everything we had kind of talked through last week.
Yeah, maybe that's why
happened.
it felt boring because we had just spent an hour like on what to expect. And then I was like, okay, we knew that was going to happen. We knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, I'd say the one first surprising thing was that Atlanta surprised us all with a quarterback pick. I don't think anyone was expecting that.
I don't think Kirk was expecting that.
Definitely not.
Because Kirk Cousins, the former quarterback of the Vikings, got traded, or he was a free, whatever. Now he's on the
Falcons.
And then they were like, actually, we'd like a new quarterback.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about this later on in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Raiders went with tight end Brock Bowers in the first round, which is very unusual for a tight end to be picked in the first round.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right. We said that.
We said last week. Travis went in the third round.
Yeah. Brock Bowers is the one with a stunningly beautiful girlfriend that I think is going to be the next like famous model wag. Calling it here.
We'll keep our eyes out
You heard
for
it
that.
first.
And then the Bears took a punter in the fourth round, Australian native Tory Taylor.
Oh,
which
an
is
Australian.
Yeah, there's not too many Australians in the league, and they definitely don't go in the fourth round typically. So a little bit unique there.
I also saw that Caleb Williams, first pick overall, he's sort of flashy. We're going to get into some people think maybe he's a little Hollywood. He messaged that new punter and said something like, just so you know, you're not going to be punting a lot over here because like I'm going to be getting so many touchdowns or whatever. But I think they're like chummy about it, right? It didn't seem like the punter was offended.
I mean, I think he's probably happy with that too.
Yeah.
I know he wants a job, but
right. I get my
not
full
too
paycheck
often.
with no pressure. Sounds amazing. Okay, so I actually did take some notes while I was watching. To be frank, to be honest, I only watched the first night because that's the most exciting night, and it wasn't that exciting. Like, I'm just gonna get the highlights online. So the first night in my notes app, draft questions for Kelly. 1, how do they decide who gets invited to the green room? Because there was like a green room off stage. People are hanging out, and then when they get picked, they get the call.
Yes.
And then they walk to the stage. So how do they decide who gets invited? What if someone gets picked who isn't there? That was before a lot of people got picked who weren't there. I didn't know, So that's my first question.
Okay, so the green room is they typically invite only like the top picks who they expect to go early in the draft. So this year they invited 16 people. It's gotten less and less over the years. I think the most was in 2013. There were 30 people present. This year they invited 16 and 13 of those players attended. And if you attend the green room, you get to bring 9 guests. Yeah, and players get to decide if they want to go or not, if they're invited.
Interesting. But they pick people who they're pretty sure. It would be so, I don't know, funny, but dramatic if they invited one of the 16 people they thought was going to go and they didn't
so
get
this was this was big news last year with Will Levis because he was invited, but he didn't go in the first round. So there was some awkward camera
sitting there with his beautiful girlfriend.
Yeah, and that's why she got all the attention.
Got it, because they kept panning to him, being like, still not chosen. I mean, it worked out for her.
It's probably a safety net for players not to go unless you're very confident.
Yeah, right. It would feel almost like jinxing it, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, that's question 1. Question 2, do they always play this Harry Potter music when the pick is in? So one thing I didn't expect, I thought it was going to be fast and furious. I've done one fantasy football draft, and that was quick. Like, all of a sudden, it's your turn again. You only have 2 minutes. Like, it's chaotic. This, they would go, okay, first up is the Bears, 10 minutes on the clock, as if these men haven't spent 5 months deciding and announcing basically who they're going to pick. So everybody, it's all the theatrics. They're like standing around, they're not picking up the phone. And then they go, pick is in, and they play Hogwarts music. And then Roger Goodell comes out and he goes, the pick is in, da, da, da. They've made their choice. So is it always that music, or was that unique to this year?
You know, my ears are not that good at remembering. Okay. But it's definitely some kind of like, you know.
Yeah, it was like
cymbal
a wind chime. Yeah. But this felt very
Jeopardy music.
Magical. Witchy.
It was witchy.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to tune in next year to see if it's the same music. And then my third question, JJ McCarthy is home, ? Did he not want to be there? But we sort of covered that in.
Yeah, so he was invited. He said that he didn't want to go because he planned to watch with 100 of his friends' family coaches. So you can only have 9 people in the green room.
Okay, flex. You have 100 friends.
So he's got a lot of people. He said that it took a village to get him there, and he wants to celebrate with all of them.
Okay, that's cuter than saying I have so many friends and I'm so popular. Oh,
and maybe nice. He was nervous about if he wasn't going to be picked in the first round.
Yeah, because people think he was a little, or there were people who thought he was overrated, right? And like maybe he wouldn't get picked.
But he did.
But he did. Okay. And then I just wrote Luke McCaffrey. That wasn't a first night note, and it isn't a question. But I did see on TikTok that Christian McCaffrey's brother, Luke McCaffrey, who knew he had a brother, got drafted to the Commanders. So
all the way across America.
Yeah. A new brother duo is in the league.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay, great. Those are my questions. I feel educated already. There are some more highlights that we have to talk about. Some things out there that everybody's talking about, some things people should be talking about more. I love, the only part I really liked so much about the draft was getting a little bit of a look into the lives of these players, obviously. Definitely. Because I'm nosy.
No, there were some good ones with the cameras like zoomed in on them at their home on the couches, like seeing who they're with.
And like, what does their home look like? How many people are over?
Do they have a girlfriend? Yes. What's the vibe like over there?
Speaking of what, right, is the girlfriend excited? Like that picture that went viral of Russell Wilson and we thought it was his girlfriend at the time, but I think it was his wife at the time, her looking so excited, like she just got the golden ticket, and you're not his wife anymore. So it was his golden ticket, not yours. But Joe Alt is, what position is he? He's a giant boy. So he's some sort of a linebacker or something.
He's huge.
Yeah, what is he? He was selected by the Chargers as an offensive tackle. There was a lot of pickup of his draft moment. One, because he looks like a giant or like an oversized 8-year-old. He just has like a very young looking face, but on the biggest body you've ever seen.
What's he like? He's like 6'8" or something like that.
Yes, he's
321 pounds. He's a big guy.
Well, his tiny little girlfriend sitting next to him, her name is Emily Meyer. Her stoic reaction, I guess you can say, got everyone's attention. There were tweets that said, has she been kidnapped? Can we get a wellness check?
Blink once.
Like blink once if you need help. Maybe they got into it tiff right before.
Right? It looks like they're fighting. Like, they're both so like serious.
No one's excited. She has a look of panic in her eyes. Maybe it was just overwhelming. Maybe this is somebody who's in shock about
I feel like they like shot to them like too early. Like they were not prepared.
Yeah. So that was one moment that was getting some pickup online of just this giant guy and his nervous looking girlfriend.
Another awkward girlfriend video was when the Jets drafted Olu Fashanu. His mom was sitting in between him and his girlfriend and basically boxed at the girlfriend. As many times she tried to get closer. Like she'd like reach over and like tap his knee and like the mom would
like shift to the side.
Boxing her out. But I get it. I mean, it's a big day for the parents. They dropped their kids off at so many practices, had to watch so many of their games.
Definitely.
Like, and they put in the work too.
Spent all that money. And who knows how long this girlfriend's been around, how long she's going to be around. But the video of her like trying to like get him for a hug or like tap him on the knee, and the mom is just cornering her out.
I feel like I didn't see Olu acknowledge his girlfriend at all. Really.
No.
Like, did not look in her direction.
I watched that clip a few times. I saw no interaction.
I mean, the mom did hug her at the end.
That's nice.
Which was sweet.
Yeah.
But like nothing from him. So we will see how this relationship goes.
Yeah, if it
lasts.
I'm going to be paying attention to that one.
I also love seeing all the excitement and emotion from the players once they get the call from the GMs.
Yeah.
One of my favorites was when Braden Fisk, who is a linebacker, was selected by the Rams, and he learned that he's going to be playing with his old teammate, Jared Verse.
How sweet.
They were linebackers together at Florida State, and last year Verse was drafted by the Rams. And so the first thing he said when he got the call from the GM was, so I'm going to be playing with Verse again? And then the GM handed the phone to his friend. He's like, yeah, buddy.
Seen that.
It was so sweet.
That's like really best cute.
Buds. That'd be so fun if you're playing with your
friend. Yeah. And I'm sure as exciting as it all is, it is nerve-wracking and intimidating to be a rookie, but like, there's your buddy.
Yeah, you got someone. You got respect of one person.
Another person who was so excited and made me laugh, cornerback Nate Wiggins was drafted to the Ravens, and he gets the call from the general manager, and he's like, Coach, I promise I'm going to make you proud. Like, Coach, this is the best decision you're going to make, Coach. And the GM sort of chuckles, and he's like, okay, like, I'm actually not the coach. This other guy's the coach, but he's excited too. And we're glad that you're glad. It was funny. And
they get nervous.
Earnest. Yeah, definitely.
And then we can't forget about Patriots wide receiver Javon Baker, who may have had the quote of the draft when he was asked what people can expect. He said, "Bring your popcorn because I make people in wheelchairs stand up," which is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's excited about his own playing for sure. And he thinks everyone else is going to be that excited.
I hope I am standing up.
Yeah. I also saw about him wore like the black stuff they put under their eyes to block out the sun or whatever, or to look intimidating. I actually don't know what the purpose of it is.
I didn't know about the sun thing, but
I heard that once. I don't know if it's true. But that his had on each of his eyes ICBFW, which stands for I can't be fucked with.
That is intimidating.
So he's like ready to go, this guy. I hope for your Patriots that he can't be fucked with.
I hope so too.
Okay, so in less lighthearted, wholesome news, we do have a scary update to share regarding Tank Dell, the wide receiver from Houston Texans.
Yeah, we felt like we had to cover this, but just up front, Tank is doing okay.
Yes. So Tank Dell was the victim of a shooting at a nightclub in Florida this past week. He was one of 11 people that was shot. He suffered minor injury, but will make a full recovery. He has already been released from the hospital, and reports say he's in good spirits. It sounds like he was at an event at a bar that about 200 people were at. A 16-year-old got into a physical altercation with somebody else, and the 16-year-old started firing a gun. The other person who he was in the altercation with may have also fired a gun back. That hasn't been confirmed yet. But in total, 11 people were shot, including Tank Dell. No fatalities. At the point of recording, only one person remains in the hospital, and they are expected to be released soon and also make a full recovery. So everyone's going to be okay, which is great, but super scary.
Yeah, 16 is so young to like...
Yes, to be at a bar at all, let alone to be at a bar with a gun and shoot 11 people. Terrible. It took place in Florida, about 40 miles from where Tank Dell is from. So it was just like a hometown night out for him. He had no connection with the shooter. It's not somebody he was there with. It's not somebody he knew. Just a random person at the same event that he was at.
Be careful out there, folks.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our segment, Battle of the Beefs, NFL Draft Edition.
Apparently not everyone is happy about the draft, whether it be veterans not liking the rookies not liking their new teams.
The list goes on.
There's beef brewing out there.
Yeah, let's start with the one that has the biggest potential to cause some drama later on in the season.
We love drama.
Michael Penix Jr. versus Kirk Cousins. So we'd mentioned it a little earlier, but this was the first big surprise in the draft when the Falcons drafted Michael Penix in the first round. And it was surprising because just last month, Kirk Cousins signed a 4-year deal with $100 million guaranteed in his contract.
Yeah, what? I have some questions for the people at the Falcons. What's going on?
Like, I get if you want like another backup quarterback just in case Kirk gets hurt or something.
Because he did get hurt.
Yeah, he's recovering from his Achilles.
And if it was like a 1-year contract and you're bringing this young guy in to learn for a year and then take over, but you just give a lot of money for a 4-year contract.
Yeah, it's first round pick quarterback. Like that's typically who you want to like be the next generation of quarterbacks. I'm so confused. So according to Kirk Cousins' agent, he did not know the Falcons would take a quarterback until they called him while the team was on the clock Thursday night. So that they're like waiting to make their pick. That's what they do during those 10 minutes. They're calling who they need to call.
So they first call Kirk and they're like, just so you know, we're about to call a new quarterback. Gotta go. 10 minutes on the clock. Bye. Hey, we want to draft you.
Yeah.
Wow. Give me those call recordings.
I know. It's awkward. Kirk's agent told ESPN that there's obviously some frustration and confusion coming from his camp, and they didn't expect Atlanta to use a first round pick on a quarterback, but instead on some other kind of offense to make the team better in 2024, like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Something
someone who can protect Kirk, someone Kirk can throw it to, not someone who can take Kirk's job.
Exactly. And he hasn't done anything yet. So he's upset. The Falcons GM said that he would be fine if Penix sits behind Kirk Cousins for 4 to 5 years, which is a crazy long time for a first round pick.
Like that's some people's whole career, 5 years.
Don't get me wrong. Like I'm happy. Like I think it's great for like a rookie quarterback to learn from a vet, but I don't know. It seems a little bit unfair to Michael Penix to be like sitting on the bench. But I'm sure there'll be some interesting competitions between the two of them. Apparently, Kirk and Penix had a conversation and it went well. They didn't give us any more details than that, but he's a nice guy, so I'm sure they'll get along. At least.
Yeah, and I'm sure even if Kirk was not thrilled, that he was polite about it.
Exactly.
Knowing him. So who do we think wins this beef? I don't know. That's sort of tough because it's not really a beef between Kirk and Michael Penix Jr. It's sort of between
like
Kirk
GM.
and the Atlanta Falcons front office.
Yeah.
And maybe between Michael Penix Jr. and Atlanta's front office because, like, are you drafting me here not to play? So maybe Kirk and Michael Penix Jr. both win the beef. And although sort of the Falcons front office wins because they have 2 good options.
The front office wins because they're doing what they want to do. And I don't care who it upsets.
Yeah.
So I guess the Falcons win, even though they weren't the enemy. But
okay, the next beef up is Malik Neighbors versus Daniel Jones.
Beef up. I like that.
Or should I say Malik Neighbors versus Daniel Jones? Which we'll get there. So Malik Neighbors, wide receiver, was drafted in the first round by the Giants. There is a video that came out of Neighbors arriving to the Giants facility for a tour and everything, looking so pissed.
Yeah,
maybe he didn't sleep well the night before and he was just out of sorts. He looked furious.
He's not very smiley.
No. Then apparently this, because now everything's filmed for social, like the GM's making these calls is filmed for their social media pages, everything's for TikTok. So allegedly the Giants social team followed Neighbors around his first day at the Giants facility, filmed him meeting Daniel Jones, and apparently it was so awkward they were like, we can't post that, and we'll never see the video. I hope we see the video one day. I hope a Giants social media intern goes rogue and posts it. Then he did a press conference where he calls him Daniel Jones.
I saw that too.
I guess furthers the belief that maybe he was like jet lagged. Where was he flying in from? Detroit? That's not really enough to jet lag you.
Yeah, maybe he was celebrating all night and
hungover. Maybe he was hungover. That could be.
Yeah.
He was getting his words mixed up. He was, or he was furious. One or the other.
Yeah, we'll see how their relationship plays out.
Yes. I hope it's contentious. And that's if Daniel Jones I mean, it is going to be hard for me not to call him Daniel Jones forever.
Now he's just Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
It does kind of like flow well.
Yeah. I
get it.
I think for now, from this point forward, he's Daniel Jones.
JD.
To me. JD. Exactly. So I'm going to say.
Yeah, who won this beat?
Daniel Jones won because he's got a fun new nickname and he's still so rich that this kid can't take that away from him. He doesn't even have to play and he can be one of the highest paid quarterbacks. So it's hard to get him down.
I'm sure he's relieved. Daniel Jones is relieved that the Giants selected Neighbors and not another quarterback.
True. Yeah. So JD comes out on top on this one.
Next up, we have Caleb Williams versus Jalen Johnson. Chicago cornerback Jalen Johnson was on a podcast called Up and Adams in March and was talking about all of the quarterback prospects and how Caleb Williams is most likely going to be the first round pick for the Bears. And he said some things that came off as he was criticizing Caleb.
Talking a little shit.
He suggested that Caleb might be high maintenance and has a Hollywood attitude because, he goes to school in LA and was going on about how nothing from college matters. He needs to prove himself in the NFL. He's not just going to trust him to be the best quarterback out there. He has to change his attitude. Recently, now that Caleb's been selected to pick for the Bears, Johnson said that people took the conversation out of context. He wasn't trying to criticize Caleb. And apparently, once Caleb was drafted, he texted Johnson just saying that he's focused on winning. And they cleared the air by talking a little more shit together. They were basically trash talking their college teams because Jalen went to Utah and Caleb went to USC and they're big rivals. And now they're on good terms. That's all it took. It's a little bit of trash talk.
Shit talk that we're both in on.
Yeah.
Rather than one.
Don't go on your podcast. Yeah. Talk to me straight up. So I think the winner of this beef is Caleb Williams because he was selected first round, making good money, and he's your quarterback, Jalen, whether you like it or not.
I agree. I also have to say that I saw that like the very next day he was photographed, Caleb Williams, doing like a bear claw hand motion. And now that's just the bear thing. And why wasn't it always the bear thing? And he's a trendsetter.
Yeah.
And
he left his first interview with like quiet little "the Bears." I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
he's leaning in.
I think he's going to be fun to watch.
I think the Bears are going to be good.
Who else do they have that's good?
They also drafted Rome Odunze in the first round, who is supposed to be a very good wide receiver. So they're pretty stacked.
So maybe not just Caleb Williams is the winner of this beef. Maybe the Bears are the winner of this beef of the draft. I guess they are.
Yeah, they could be. Yeah.
Okay, so this next beef up, it's more of a speculated beef, like a question of a beef, and the question is there beef between Drake May and all of the black quarterbacks? Because a video went viral this past week after Drake May was drafted in the first round for the Patriots. He only follows white quarterbacks on Instagram. They went through and checked. He follows
Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Drew Brees,
Aaron Rodgers, Will Levis, like scraping the bottom of the
Howell,
QB barrel.
Mitch Trubisky, like you can't.
Like I've literally never heard the name Mitch Trubisky before in my life, and I'm a football podcast. He doesn't follow Jalen Hurts. He doesn't follow Lamar Jackson. He doesn't follow CJ Stroud. He doesn't follow Deshaun Watson, which is fine. But
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, all these guys. And then another video was going around at the same time of somebody interviewing him saying, build the perfect quarterback. Like, oh, I would take this person's rushing ability, this person's arm. Only picked white QBs for that too. And then at the end, he said, well, I guess I'll pick Patrick Mahomes for one characteristic because I already picked Tom Brady, so I don't want to pick him twice. So he like...
He does follow Pat Mahomes and Jordan Love, which...
Okay. I don't know. I mean, it could be, this all could be a coincidence. It could be, a subconscious bias. It could be overt racism. I think time will tell. And
it's not what I like from a quarterback on my team.
No. So he's the loser in this beef. And the fact that it has gone viral and his follow list remains the same. He has not.
Is somebody else controlling his socials? That's my hope.
Somebody more racist. He doesn't follow Dak Prescott. He doesn't follow, the list is long. These people, who do you think is a more interesting follow on Instagram? Mitch Trubisky or Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
What? So we're going to keep an eye on that. We're going to hope that this is not what it looks like. And, we'll go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have a clear loser in this battle.
Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Last but not least, for our final beef, we have Adonai Mitchell versus the Colts. A.D. Mitchell, so his teammates and coaches call him. He is a wide receiver who was picked 52nd overall during the second round. He ended up being the 11th wide receiver taken, and needless to say, he is not happy about it. He was expecting, there was some talks, maybe he would be a first round pick. That did not happen. And he did not look happy once he finally was drafted by the Colts. They zoom in, they have the videos of the whole family on the couch. Yeah. His mom's lifting his arms up to celebrate.
Forcing him to appear excited.
He's not smiling. His dad's whispering something in his ear
bad
lighten up, buddy.
Right.
You're on
you just
TV.
Got drafted by the NFL and everybody's watching you.
And then he had a first interview with the Colts after they drafted him. And they're like, oh, how you feeling? You must be so excited. It's a big day. All he said was, well, I'm pretty pissed right now.
God. That's
he kind of
nuts.
backtracked and was like, I'm so excited to be get to Indianapolis and show what I have. I'm going to play my best. I'm excited to be a good teammate. But you can't start off when you're pissed. This is supposed to be the best day of and your football career.
You got drafted in the second round. You're
I
not
know.
a nobody. Do we think he's more pissed about his place in the draft or the Colts?
I think it's his place in the draft, but I don't think he was
psyched about the Colts.
He could have handled it a lot better in that interview.
Definitely.
And his general manager, I will say, was standing up for him. Some of the scouts, I guess, were interviewing the GM too and raised some concerns about AD's maturity, saying that he's undisciplined. When he gets hungry, he's not a good teammate. Ridiculous
when
things.
He gets
hungry, grab a Snickers.
I still an endorsement. Yeah. I think before long he's going to be in a Snickers commercial.
Let's turn this around, AD.
Yeah.
But his GM responded and was like, I read some of this bullshit that was said on TV. Just typical fucking, excuse my language. It's our typical league. Unnamed sources, bad interview. It's such bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. He's pissed. He's pissed for this kid.
The kid is pissed for other reasons, but everybody's pissed.
He's he's a 21-year-old kid. He's not perfect. No one's perfect. Just, be quiet. He's
okay. I like that he's having his back rather than saying, yeah, we're going to have to look at the decisions we made. And so
I think that's a good sign for AD. Yeah. He's got a GM that's going to look out for him and they want him there and he should be grateful and happy.
But he's not. He's pissed.
He's pissed for now. But he's got a healthy Anthony Richardson back in and, he could be their top wide receiver.
I think Anthony Richardson had a baby his fiance gave birth to a baby boy during the off season. So he's healthy. He's a father. He has more to play for.
Exactly.
I think he's going to do great this season. Ant-Man.
Yeah, I think the winner of this beef.
Yeah, who is the winner of this beef?
I think it's, the Colts.
Yeah, because they're we got what we wanted and
we'll take care of you, AD.
Yeah.
Don't worry. He'll learn to love him.
He's got no choice.
And that brings us to our final goss.
Final goss.
What do you have for us today, Marissa?
Today, we are last week we did a relationship roundup. This week, we're going to do a little lawsuit roundup with some off-season lawsuits from some of our veteran players. First up, we could have a whole episode about Tyreek Hill. This man doesn't rest.
Yeah. We've had many episodes about him.
Yeah, true. Exactly. So just to bring us all up to speed, last season, we talked all about his drama. He has at least 6 kids with 4 different women. He faced 2 paternity lawsuits. In November, he got married. And then in January, he filed for divorce. And then later in January, he denied filing for divorce. So that's where we are. Then that brings us to...
He's all over the place.
He's all over the place. He's in the news this week, actually, or last week, because it's going around saying he confirmed he has 10 kids. But we looked into this for you. He didn't confirm. He was on a podcast. Somebody made a joke or alleged that he could have up to 10 kids, and he sat there silently.
He's probably counting them all in his head.
He's right. He was probably like, "What do you
1,
know?"
2, 3, 4, maybe. You know, there's a few I don't know about.
Definitely. I mean, right. And if there are 6 and 3 of them were in active lawsuits, paternity suits, there could be for sure 4 more out there.
Could be.
But 6 that we know of. This lawsuit, first one, is actually unrelated to any of his children, potential or otherwise. In March, an Instagram model sued Tyreek Hill for battery, assault, and negligence after he allegedly broke her leg during football drills, which is a bizarre headline.
Were they like doing drills in his backyard or something?
They exactly were doing drills in his backyard. So this
interesting
OnlyFans/Instagram model, she has over 2 million followers. Apparently, Tyreek Hill slid into her DMs last May, and the DMs are out there, which there's almost nothing I love more than a leaked DM, because you get to read like how people are actually talking to each other. It's great. So he slid into her DMs and she goes, "Oh my God, what a coincidence. I just today signed my son up for your football camp." My theory is that she must have been like liking his post. She must have followed him, liked his posts. He sees that somebody with a blue check mark and 2 million followers started, like poking at his page, liking him, probably reacting to stories and stuff like that. So then he slid in. So she goes, "Oh my God, what a coincidence. And I just signed my kid up for your football camp." And his response is, "I've been known to be a good stepdad."
Oh God.
Tyreek Hill, what you do not need is more children.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So
you can't pay for the current ones.
Right. She sent her kid to his football training camp. They stayed in contact. Then in June, so a month later, he flew her to Florida to stay with him. So this is less than 6 months before he got married. I want to have a heart-to-heart with Kita Vaccaro.
I do too.
And talk to her about some things. But anyway, he flew her to Florida. In the lawsuit, she says that he said since her son played offensive lineman, she should practice that position as well. So let's run some drills here in the backyard.
What?
He was like, "Let's practice football." And he was like egging her on to come at him, I guess. She says she knocked him over playfully. She's also like 6'1". She's a plus size model. She's a bigger, full figured woman. He's a small, cheetah, they call him.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Come on, like, come at me," I guess. She knocked him over. And she said when that happened, his whole energy changed entirely and he became very angry, which I could see him having a real like switch that flips just from what we've heard about his aggressive, violent behavior in the past and all of the domestic lawsuits that he's been part of. So she said he became very angry. In quotes, "Defendant Hill charged into her violently and with great force, resulting in significant and serious injuries. She fractured her right leg, which required surgery, weekly physio sessions, and still causes her constant pain."
Wow. This is the craziest thing ever.
It doesn't make any
sense. He like forced her to charge at him and then attacked her.
And she's probably like, "He flew me here to like
have me practice.
What?
This makes no sense.
So she had to have surgery, and the lawsuit seeks compensation between $50,001 and $75,000, which is a very reasonable price when you're dealing with a multi-millionaire who assaulted you.
And medical bills are expensive.
Medical bills and surgery are really expensive. I don't know if OnlyFans has good health insurance.
Probably not.
Probably not. So I think it's a reasonable amount of money she's asking for. And we'll see where that nets out. My guess is it will probably settle. I feel like he settles his lawsuits, but that's an odd one. Then that's not the only one. In March, we got some updates on the whole divorce debacle. So as we just went over, on November 8th, he got married. Then on January 22nd, he filed for divorce. Then on January 23rd, he tweeted, no, he didn't file for divorce, even though, yes, he did file for divorce. It turns out that the whole divorce mishigas was about the fact that he wanted her to sign a post-nuptial agreement, Kita Vaccaro, his current wife, and she didn't want to.
Good for you, girl.
Yeah, don't sign anything.
He doesn't want that divorce anymore.
Right, exactly. On January 30th, police were called to his home when his wife said he smashed an unlit cigar on her face when she wouldn't sign the postnuptial agreement. He says he flicked the cigar, but denied it striking her. He also said that the two of them had been arguing a lot lately. After a representative advised him to have the postnuptial agreement put in place, officers said they didn't notice any visible marks on her face or body. There were no signs of a struggle in the home, and therefore, due to conflicting stories and no evidence that a crime had occurred, no arrest was made. I would say not a great first 6 months of marriage. 2 paternity lawsuits, another assault lawsuit, and physical violence against your own wife.
Yeah.
And you filed for divorce in the middle of all of that. So
I think a divorce
get out.
Yeah, it's coming one way or another.
Yeah, but take half.
Yeah, I saw that he started to remove her from all of his like social media posts. So there's definitely some tension in the home.
Yeah, I wish the best for her. I wish everyone else to stay away from him. And no matter what we wish for, we know more drama is going to be coming from him, and we will bring it to you all here. But an unexpected person at the center of some other drama is Justin Jefferson, which I feel like we don't really hear. All we ever hear about Justin Jefferson is how good he is at football. But during the off season, there was a paternity lawsuit filed against him. Andrea Galea, who Justin Jefferson, met at LSU, had his child in December of 2023. She claims the two of them became romantically involved in 2019, later reconnecting in April of 2023. She said she was pressured by Justin Jefferson to get an abortion, and when she did not, he began acting towards her with great insensitivity and extreme cruelty. She says he has failed to support their daughter financially and refused to acknowledge the child.
It's tough when, they make a lot of money, but...
Yes. So the woman, Galea, is a licensed attorney herself. I feel like not who you want to mess with.
Just smart lady.
Yep. She is seeking a paternity test from Justin Jefferson, as well as financial support and health coverage. He filed a countersuit accusing her of using the child's birth and allegations against him to promote her online presence. He's not saying it's not his, and he's not saying none of it is true.
I think he's waiting for that paternity test, but
as are we.
Yeah.
But this story doesn't make him sound like a great guy. I'll say that much.
And on that note, we are signing off from our draft episodes. It's been so much fun being back on air here.
We're so ready for the season.
Oh yeah. Now we know everybody who's coming into the league.
Yes. So keep checking in on our Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok for updates.
Send us a DM if you're curious about a story or if you just want to say hi.
Yeah, come say hi at the Tea Huddle everywhere. We will be back in action full time for the preseason in August.
And until then, stay juicy.